On our third anniversary, I ended it. My CEO girlfriend was baffled, all because I gave her male assistant a Porsche. I have a thing about germs. I hate anything that feels used. His face turned pale instantly. Claire Sterling walked in, bringing the chill of the conference room with her. She tossed the car keys in front of me. The Porsche crest caught the office lights. Jordan's old car broke down, so I got him a Panamera to help with client pickups. Her tone was casual, as if she were talking about the weather. By the way, we have a meeting with the Jean Group tonight. Wear that suit I bought you last week. I closed the project proposal I was reading and looked up calmly. Claire, let's break up. She froze, acting as if she hadn't heard me. I said we're done. I pushed the keys back toward her. 3 years is enough. Claire frowned, that familiar look of impatience surfacing again. Ethan, don't start. Is this about Jordan's car? I told you it's for work. It's not about the car. I interrupted her. It's that I have a thing about germs. I hate filth. The air in the room solidified. The color drained from Claire's face, and the carefully maintained mask of a corporate elite finally cracked. What is that supposed to mean? I stood up and grabbed my coat. Exactly what it sounds like. Claire, please contact me through Slack for anything work-related. Don't bother me during my personal time. Ethan, she raised her voice. Stand still. I was already at the door, hand on the knob. Everyone in the bullpen must have heard it, but no one dared to look up. Do you even know what you're saying? She chased after me, her voice low and sharp. Without me, you be nothing. Who paid for your mother's surgery back in that Ohio hellhole? Who bought the car you drive? I even paid off the loan for that suit you're wearing. I cut her off. I just zelled you the money for the suit. I also calculated every cent of the allowances you gave me over the last 3 years. Exactly $478,600. I'll pay it back in 12 installments starting next month. The interest is set at the bank's prime rate. Claire's mouth opened, but no sound came out. She stared at me as if she were seeing a stranger. As for my mother's $20,000 surgery, I continued, you did front that money. I'll pay that back in full the moment I get my next paycheck. Ethan, she finally found her voice, high and incredulous. You're insane. You're going to be this petty over a small favor? It's not a small favor. I pulled the door open. It's a matter of dignity. As I walked out, I could feel her gaze burning into my back. The office was a tomb. Everyone was pretending to be busy. Only Jordan, the assistant who just got a Porsche, poked his head out from the break room with a look of pure schadenfreude. I nodded to him and walked straight to the elevator. As the doors closed, I saw Claire standing at her office door, as still as a marble statue. The elevator dropped from the 28th floor. I leaned against the wall, exhaling a long breath. My hand was shaking. I clenched my fists until my nails dug into my palms. 3 years, finally over. By the time I reached my apartment, it was dark. This was an old walk-up in Astoria, Queens. The building was older than I was. A 500-square-foot one-bedroom that cost me $3,000 a month. I'd lived here for 5 years. Ever since I joined Aegis Corporation, Claire had visited once and never came back. She said it smelled like mold. She said I should move to a better place. She offered to pay my down payment, but I refused. It wasn't about pride. I just needed a space that was entirely mine. Here, I didn't have to wear a suit. I could eat ramen, watch the game late, and forget I was Claire Sterling's boyfriend. I grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat on my second-hand sofa. My phone was blowing up with messages from colleagues, clients, and Claire. I opened Claire's thread. The last one was from 2 hours ago. Ethan, I'm assuming you're just having a bad day. Come to my office tomorrow, so we can talk. I scrolled up. Yesterday, the day before that. Meeting with the board tonight. Feed yourself. This weekend is my father's birthday. Don't bother coming. It's all business partners anyway. Take a look at Jordan's proposal. He's inexperienced. My mother sent some high-end skincare for you. It's on your desk. Further up, from 6 months ago, when I went back to Ohio for my mother's surgery. Mom is out of surgery. Everything went well. That was from me. Good. That was her reply 6 hours later. In those 6 hours, Jordan had posted on Facebook a grid of 9 photos tagged in Miami Beach. Pictures of the ocean, the pool, the 5-star buffet. The last one was the silhouette of Claire in a swimsuit against the horizon. Jordan's caption read, "Grateful for the best boss ever." He added a heart emoji. I had been sitting in a dim hospital hallway in a Rust Belt town looking at that post while holding my mother's lab results. The screen showed the turquoise waters of Miami while I looked out at a gray Ohio sky. It felt like a physical blow to the chest, but I said nothing. The bill was $20,000. I had $8,000 in savings after 5 years of work. Claire transferred the rest without a word. She told me to take care of my mom and not worry about the money. I thought it was love. Now I realize it was just charity. I finished the beer and grabbed another. The phone buzzed again, a FaceTime call from Claire. Her contact photo was a profile shot I took of her 3 years ago. I hit decline. She called back. I declined twice more, then blocked her. The world went quiet. The next day at work, the atmosphere in the elevator was suffocating. I knew I was the main topic in the break room. A junior analyst, Mike, leaned in. "Ethan, you okay?" "I'm fine," I said. "Get back to work." "The CEO is in a terrible mood," Mike whispered. "She's been screaming at Jordan for 30 minutes. Everyone can hear it." I nodded and walked to my desk. There was a boutique shopping bag waiting for me. Inside was a brand new suit, identical to the one I wore yesterday. The tags were still on. Armani, $2,800. A note was attached in Claire's handwriting. The other one got dirty. "Wear this." I took the bag to the corner office and knocked. "Come in." Claire was reading a file, her makeup perfect, showing no sign of the morning's meltdown. "So," I put the bag on her desk. "Your clothes. I'm returning them." She looked up, her eyes cold as ice. "Ethan, have you had enough of this tantrum?" "I'm not throwing a tantrum. We're broken up. Please keep it professional in the office." She stared at me for a few seconds and then laughed, a cold, sharp sound. "Fine. VP Miller, let's talk business. Is the proposal for the city development project ready for Wednesday?" "It's ready. I sent the digital copy to your inbox yesterday. I want a hard copy. Now." "Fine." I turned to leave. "Ethan," she called out, her voice heavy, "you will regret this. In this city, without me, you are nothing." I didn't reply. I just walked out. The next few days were quiet. Claire stopped contacting me privately. Jordan was strangely polite. Then came the Friday afternoon meeting. Claire presided. Jordan sat next to her. I sat at the far end of the table. "Who is presenting the city development project?" Claire asked. I looked up. "I am." "You're not," she said flatly. "Jordan will do it." The room went silent. "So," I put my pen down. "I've lived this project for 3 months. I built the data and the client relationships from scratch." "And?" Claire raised an eyebrow. "We are a team, Ethan. Jordan has been performing well. He needs the experience." Jordan chimed in. "Thanks for the trust, Claire. Don't worry, Ethan. I've studied your notes 3 times. I've got this." I looked at him, at the smugness in his eyes. "You've studied my notes?" I asked. "Of course." Jordan smiled. "Your logic is clear, though some details need optimization. The budget is too high, and the technical implementation is a bit conservative." I opened my laptop and turned it toward Claire. "This is an email from the client's lead director. He explicitly requested that the lead VP be present because they're bringing their own technical experts. If you change the presenter now, you'll have to explain it to them yourself." Claire's face darkened. She looked at the screen, then at Jordan. "What happened? Why didn't you tell me they had this requirement?" Jordan stammered. I didn't know. They didn't tell me. Because they only talked to me." I closed my laptop. Jordan hasn't been in a single client meeting. Every memo and requirement change is in these 3 binders. I tapped the heavy files. The room was breathless. Claire stared at me with a mix of anger and something I couldn't name. "Fine, you do it," she said. Meeting adjourned. Everyone scrambled out. As I packed my files, I heard Jordan trying to apologize. Claire ignored him and walked out. Mike gave me a thumbs up. "Ethan, that was legendary. I won a battle, but the war was starting." Over the next week, the sabotage began. My project budget was slashed by 20%. My 2 best analysts were transferred and replaced with rookies. Finally, HR called me in. My title was being downgraded from VP to senior manager with a 15% pay cut due to a performance review. I took the notice to Claire's office. She was on the phone, laughing and sounding sweet. The moment she hung up, the the smile vanished. Something wrong? She asked. I put the notice on her desk. She glanced at it. The firm is restructuring. Everyone is being reevaluated. Then why am I the only one being demoted? Because your performance is down. Claire leaned back. Your completion rate is down 8%. I looked at her and laughed. She knew why the numbers were down. She had stripped my team. Claire, if you want me gone, just say it. I don't want you gone. She said, I want you to realize that in this city, you aren't as valuable as you think. You're nothing without me, right? I nodded. Then I resigned. Claire froze. She expected me to beg, to stay on as her subordinate and her pet. What? I am resigning. I pulled the letter from my pocket. I'll give you my 30 days. Ethan, think about this. She stood up, her voice shrill. You leave Aegis, and you'll never find a job in Manhattan. Your skills mean nothing to me. Let's find out. I turned for the door. Wait. I stopped. You owe me $20,000 for your mother's surgery. She said, her voice like a knife. And that $400,000 in expenses? You're paying it all back now, or I'm suing you. I actually smiled. CEO, that $20,000 was wired to your account yesterday. As for the rest, I showed her the Zelle confirmation on my phone. Paid in full, with interest. Consider the extra tip for the last 3 years. Claire stared at the screen, her lips trembling. I walked out. I left Aegis on a gray day with a single box of belongings. Mike met me at the elevator. Ethan, you're really doing this? Yeah, I said. Take care. It was an easy choice. I stepped out of the building into the rain. My phone rang. A stranger. Ethan Miller? It was a man's voice. This is Mike from Catalyst Capital. We spoke 6 months ago. I remembered. Mike was a managing partner at a top-tier firm. I heard you left Aegis. Mike sounded amused. Want to get a drink and talk? I looked at the rain and smiled. Anytime. The next day, I was in his office at the World Trade Center, overlooking the Hudson. Mike offered me a partnership. He didn't care about my age or my messy breakup. He cared about my ability to see the business behind the tech. He offered me $3 million a year and a 2% equity stake. Why me? I asked. Because I trust a man who has been pushed to the wall to fight back harder. I joined. As I left his office, Claire called from a new number. Ethan, where are you? She sounded broken. We need to talk. We have nothing to talk about, Claire. Don't be like this. She screamed. 3 years. You're just throwing it away? I stood in the sun by the river. Claire, you threw it away a long time ago. When you took Jordan to Miami while I was in a hospital, when you tried to steal my project, when you insulted me in front of the whole firm. It's over. Those were just mistakes. No, they were choices. You can't love someone you don't respect. I blocked her for good. 6 months later, Aegis Corp was tanking. Arthur Sterling, Claire's father, had to come out of retirement to save the company. Claire had been demoted after a series of scandals. Jordan had been arrested for embezzlement. I, meanwhile, was the golden boy of Catalyst. My first 3 projects were home runs. I was a partner now, making my own rules. Then the opportunity came. Aegis was facing bankruptcy. Arthur Sterling came to us for a bailout. Mike looked at me. It's your call, Ethan. Business is business, but if you want to pass, we pass. I looked out at the Manhattan skyline. I'll do it, I said, but on 3 conditions. 1, the Sterling family loses majority control. 2, the entire management team is fired. 3, I have final say on everything. Arthur Sterling showed up to the meeting looking 10 years older. He saw me and stopped. Ethan, it's been a long time. Sit down, Arthur. The negotiation was brutal. He wanted Claire to stay. I refused. He wanted 30% equity. I gave him 10. In the end, he signed. He had no choice. As I saw him out, he turned back. Claire is getting married next month to a teacher. A quiet guy. I nodded. I hope she's happy. But the story didn't end there. My assistant brought me a file from the Aegis archives. 20 years ago, my father, Mark Miller, had invested $5 million into Arthur Sterling's company. It was his life savings. He was supposed to have 40% of the company. But while he was in a coma after a stroke, his signature was forged on a document that reduced his stake to 5%. My father died thinking he had failed. He died broke in Ohio while the Sterlings built an empire on his money. I took the evidence to the next board meeting. I showed the forged signatures on the big screen. I showed the medical records, proving my father was unconscious when the deal was signed. The room was a circus of camera flashes. Arthur Sterling suffered a stroke right there in the boardroom. Claire was there, crying, trying to pull him from his wheelchair. I felt no joy, only a profound sense of exhaustion. A year later, Aegis was profitable again under my leadership. Claire had moved away to an unknown town to care for her father. She sent me a final message. I'm sorry for everything. My dad wanted to give you the rest of his shares as an apology. I didn't take the shares. We were even. I stood by the Hudson River on a clear evening. I'm 31 now. I have the money, the title, and the respect I once thought were the only markers of success. But standing here, I realize the real success is the ability to walk away. I pulled a photo from my wallet, taken when I first arrived in New York. On the back, I had written, "Ethan Miller, make something of yourself." I think I have. I didn't crawl, I didn't beg, and I didn't wait for a handout. I stood up and I walked. The city is still bright, the path is still long, but for the first time, I'm the one holding the pen.